Well, we're winding down now. You've been here for 3 years.
Yeah.
You're going to leave this year.
In July, next month.
Oh, okay. How have you found your stay here so far?
I think I've probably loved almost every minute of it. It's a country I knew many years ago. I was
In West Africa before you came here,
actually in Lagos.
Oh, okay.
My first posting was in Lagos in 1983. I arrived when President Shagari was president, probably before you were born, young man
That's
like you.
after I was born.
So it was my second time here, my second coming, as it were. Fascinating to see how the place had changed. It had been restored to democracy, which was a very good thing. But nowhere have I been in Nigeria where I haven't received hospitality and courtesy. Nowhere have I been where I haven't felt the enormous potential of this place and a slightly frustrating mismatch between the extraordinary ability of so many Nigerians, well qualified, well motivated, lots of small companies and indeed increasingly bigger ones, full of entrepreneurial flair. This television channel, for example, you've just opened a channel in the UK. And your chairman, by the way, is a Chevening scholar. He went to the UK on a British government scholarship years ago, and my goodness, are we proud of him. But that enormous reservoir of talent and ability on the one hand, but on the other, the frustrating vacuum in too many areas of public administration where private companies spin their wheels and can't get state or federal governments to provide the enabling environment that's really needed for economic growth here. Let me just leave, rather than bore you and your visitors with more with this, let me leave you with one thought in my mind, which is this. Nigeria is already, since you rebased your GDP last year, already the largest economy in Africa. I think this country, with its size and its markets and its talent and its resources, has the prospect to be larger than the rest of sub-Saharan Africa put together. Think of that as an economy. You're on the fringe of the G20, you're 21 in the world. You could be much higher up than that. What is required is literally a public-private partnership where the private sector is the driver of growth, as it should be, where the public sector is an enabler of growth by putting in place the right policies, legislation, administration, and backup, and critically, in the infrastructure field, getting the infrastructure of this country right. Road, rail, telecoms, air, but the biggest is power. If you can, in the next decade, take the privatized power industry that you have, move it on to the next phase, fix the transmission problem, fix, crucially, the feedstock problem. Power stations need gas, and you have all the gas in the world. In the next decade, lay that foundation so that the grid becomes reliable and not a lottery. Think of the overheads that would save businesses of every scale in this country, and it would unleash the entrepreneurial potential of the economy to the point where you could begin to see Nigeria becoming as big as the rest of sub-Saharan Africa put together. So, in a sense, that's what I'd like to see in 10 years' time, not just for Britain, because we want Nigeria to be a prosperous and stable trading partner, but for this country and its people itself.
Wow. We're not expecting a new UK visa policy, are we?
No. Our visa policy is designed to do two things. Keep out of the country people who have no legal right to be there, but facilitate entry for people that do have a right to be there and that we wish to be there. So Nigerian business people, Nigerian students, Nigerian diaspora are very welcome in the UK, and always will be. And we issue 75% of the applications that we receive. So 150,000 visas a year and rising. So there's no change in policy. There will maybe a change in rigor in that we are looking to keep out.
and that also...
but not in policy.
Well, anyway, I think someone would want answers and say, what's the logic in having disparities in visa fees for those in Lagos State, those who are going to the island, Lagos Island, they have a different fee from those who are using the Ikeja outlet?
Indeed. This is the user pays outlet you're talking about in Ikeja. It's a test, it's a trial. We're not doing it just in Nigeria, we're doing it in other places. But for the fee, the additional fee in Ikeja, you get additional services. The application center is open all hours. It's dealt with at a different pace. So there's an element of balance here. You pay a bit more, but you get a bit more. And one of the things that we wish to do, and are already doing, is rolling out our priority visa service here, again, for which you pay. Nothing's free in this world, but you get it much more quickly. So I think the simple message to all Nigerians on visas is, it's not a mystery. We do it online. We do it on the merits of your application. There's no need to ring the High Commissioner and lobby him at all hours. The only thing we ask, well, we ask two things. One, don't attempt to defraud the system, because that is a 10-year ban. But two, just give the information that is asked. It may seem rather rigorous and unnecessary, but that is what the system requires. If the information you asked for is provided, the decision will be made on merit. And as I say, 75% of the decisions are issued, which is not a bad percentage, I wouldn't have thought.
What's the influx rate of people going for schools in the UK now?
It's about 40,000 a year and rising. Very large.
Oh, that's large. All right, Dr. Andrew Pocock, thank you for coming on today.
It's a great pleasure. Thank you for having me.
All right, and we'll be back in just a moment. Don't go away.